The video you are watching, coming from a severely underrated anime. Even in the past 10 years, no anime has surpassed it. But because the plot is too abstract, it was criticized by viewers for being too graphic. The opening sequence of this anime is a world similar to Inception. It's not just the main character's body that disintegrates, and all the surrounding buildings are also divided into small pieces. The only complete thing was a dead body in the distance. Sakaido uses his severed left arm, dragged the space with the dead body to it. Next, he opened the door and stepped inside. Finally, Sakaido saw the corpse's true appearance. Keiru? The girl that Sakaido didn't know about, but surprisingly he could call her name. Also at this moment, Sakaido then remembered where this hellish place actually was. This strange space is called the Well. This is the world built by the police to investigate crimes. They use scanners to pick up potential murderous intentions, in order to restore the subconscious world of criminals, before they were caught. This time they will arrest a serial killer. In the room were 7 people with dismembered bodies, symbolizing the fact that 7 people were actually harmed. And to find the culprit, the most common method is jigsaw. After joining the separated parts on the surrounding side, the blank space immediately appeared with 3 complete words. Togo was outside directly watching the well realize. That is the sign of a hot pot restaurant in the neighborhood. The perpetrator likely saw this sign, then remember it in his subconscious world. Upon receiving the news, Matsuoka's group quickly marched out. After comparing photos, Hokaru found out that the culprit's hiding place was definitely opposite the store. However, the 2 of them still arrived 1 step late. The culprit noticed them. When Captain Matsuoka knocked on the door and rushed in, he only found 1 victim lying in a pool of blood. Luckily, after checking, the victim was still breathing. So Matsuoka immediately sent someone to take the victim out. But he did not know that this would be the worst decision of his life. Sakaido's side also discovered something wrong. His gaze looked towards Keiru's body. Everything here is disjointed, but only Keiru has an intact body. What's more important? Be the master of this world. Haven't been around since he got here. This is not logical. Hey, that murderer. Quickly get out of Keiru's body. This is the copy of the perpetrator in the subconscious world. As long as we find him, the case is considered half solved. But just as everyone breathed a sigh of relief, a familiar person suddenly appeared in the well. If the case is solved, then remember to leave our house. Who here? This is the same Hokaru that just a few minutes ago was still chasing criminals. It turns out Matsuoka made a big mistake. If you look closely at the victim's face, you'll realize it's not the real victim. The murderer played the police a hard time. After killing everyone in the ambulance, he drove directly into Hokaru, then used an ambulance to block the road. The murderer took Hokaru down the sewer. When Hokaru woke up, she found herself tied to the stainless steel table in the kitchen. From hunter to prey, the murderer the police want to arrest fits his name very well. For some reason, there was a hole drilled in his head, and the reason he's so cruel. I also want to let many people experience the feeling of expanding their minds. See the electric drill set right in front of your eyes. Hokaru knew that it would be difficult for him to escape. However, it is not impossible. It's just a very high price to pay. Don't use a drill and just stand there indifferently. That thing should be used like this. A new ID well has just been formed, confirmed to be Hokaru's. It turns out that was Hokaru's purpose. Suicide is also a form of murder. She used her own will to create a new well. Sakaido was then forcibly returned to the real world, then quickly moved to Hokaru's well. This is a lifeless land. Under the clouds are moving drills. The surprising thing is that a girl named Keiru is also here. But this time he didn't have a chance to think. A giant drill fell from the sky. Sakaido immediately lost consciousness. But also thanks to this drill, the police went through the light reflected from it, analyzed the structure of the room Hokaru was in. First she was tied to a stainless steel table, usually designed in a restaurant. In the corner of the room there's an industrial freezer, is a common model of a restaurant's back kitchen. Then, through extrapolation of the room size, determine the general area of the room. Then continue looking for suitable places near sewers. Finally, the police found an abandoned restaurant. At this time, Hokaru was impaled by the drill and only had half his life left. The killer wanted to pull her hair out, to see his newly formed work. However, a special police officer suddenly appeared from behind, making him know that he no longer has the chance to do that. After that, Hokaru was rushed to the hospital. Thanks to her timely rescue, she kept her life. But the damaged part of the brain cannot be restored. She will lose some basic human emotions. Boss Nishio is considering transferring her to another job, become a quiet detective like Sakaido. But real Sakaido was not treated as well as imagined. Because to dive into the well requires 2 conditions: has the mindset of a murderer, and be able to empathize with them. While in reality, Sakaido's identity is a prisoner serving a sentence. Yo! Where are you going? A high school girl after waking up, realize you've been put in a bin. Below the feet are 2 oxygen tanks. Above is a camera installed, broadcasting her every move live across the globe. The number of viewers in the live room is growing at a rapid rate. However, no one reported to the police, because they are all old audiences. A total of 7 people appeared in this live room. Their only fate is lack of oxygen and death. Even the decomposition process will be meticulously recorded, until the camera's battery runs out. The police also tried to find the culprit, but according to experts, the criminal is called the grave digger, uses many international servers for broadcasting, so it is difficult to find his whereabouts. The girl also seemed to have heard about the grave digger, but still trying to comfort myself. Last time it was 52 hours, the victim survived the longest. I will try my best to surpass that record, so someone please save me. Luckily the police are not useless either. They have developed a new machine. It is possible to collect the killer's remaining murderous intentions at the scene. From there, we build back the subconscious world of the criminal. Then let someone else inside to investigate. Finally obtain traces of criminals in the real world. But this machine also has a shortcoming. Those who enter will be forced to lose all their memories. So, the superiors placed a young girl's body inside there. Just see that girl's body. That person will be able to remember his purpose for coming here. Then find out the cause of the girl's death. It is also more beneficial to find traces of criminals. And the reason for the girl's death this time is very mysterious. Her whole body was severely burned. However, there were no signs of burns around her body. On the contrary, outside the building, the fire was rising. Continuously, floors burned and collapsed. Sakaido doesn't understand why the gravedigger's subconscious world is like that, but in a room on the top floor, he quickly found a girl trapped. After people outside compare the victim's images, they determined that the girl in the livestream room and the girl in the well were the same person. Sakaido immediately ran to save people. However, as soon as I opened the door, he was blown apart by a sudden explosion, even though it's not a real chop. But after that, every time he returned to the well, he always lost his memory. It's like playing a game without memory. Always come back to live there. After 6 hours of continuously dying over and over again, Sakaido's spirit had almost collapsed. However, his superiors still did not let him stop. In the end, he is just a coward. So there is no opportunity to claim human rights. Finally, after hundreds of times, I left. Sakaido, using muscle memory, entered the girl's room. In this room, he saw a person in the burning apartment opposite hold a torch to start a fire. Police outside immediately confirmed. This person used to be the girl's neighbor. A few years ago, his family died in a fire. He was the only one who survived. Police immediately moved to the man's house. They discovered he wasn't just watching live. And from the basement of the house there was also a foul smell. Everyone has a bad feeling in their hearts. Immediately after opening the lid, what they saw was just a dead body. The live stream is just a replay of the video, and the arrested man still laughed haha. He still believes he did nothing wrong. It turns out that he was the mastermind of the fire many years ago. He wants to get rid of his wife so he can find someone new. However, at that time the girl was standing at the window. He was afraid that she would know the truth. Even then, the little girl said many times that she didn't see. But the man was still not reassured, and definitely decided to take the girl's life. And clearly the man was not the real grave digger. Because in the well, the young woman's body gave the hint from the beginning. She died in a fire elsewhere but was transferred here. This implies that the man is just imitating. He wants to use the name of the cultist to hide his crimes. Hokaru felt very disappointed right now. In the end, the grave digger is still out there. There are still no clues about him. But at that moment, Hokaru saw a suspicious person from the surrounding crowd. He pulled down his hat and quickly left. Hokaru immediately chased after him. Do not know that. That person was waiting for her in the alley. And in the blink of an eye, he suddenly hugged Hokaru. Then kiss her. A female police officer is chasing a man. But the man is not only not afraid, but he suddenly hugged her, then forcefully kissed the girl. What the heck? It turns out this man is a psychopath. A hole was drilled into his head with a drill, because the brain has been damaged, causing him to be unable to distinguish between murderous intentions and love. He wants to kill Hokaru, but out of anger, he suddenly kissed her. Hokaru also let him escape because of this unexpected action. After all, Hokaru is already 23 years old. Being kissed is actually nothing. What really surprised her was the identity of this man. Very similar to a serial killer who appeared recently. Grave Digger. The Grave Digger has so far kidnapped 7 people. They were all put in barrels and buried alive. Then it was live streamed nationwide. The victims will struggle in the barrel trying to survive. Then it gradually rots and rots in the barrel. And where Hokaru is working to catch this pervert, developed a machine that can capture deadly intentions. When discovering the remaining deadly intentions of the criminal, can enter their subconscious world. From there, search for traces and solve the case. However, in the 7 kidnappings of the Gravedigger, they did not find any cognitive particles with deadly intentions. This is not reasonable. But what if that murderer is the same person as before? He must have confused murderous intentions with love. So everything became clear. After that, Hokaru immediately turned around to the place where the man had just kissed her. Unexpectedly, the machine detected extremely strong murderous intentions here. It means the act of kissing and the intention to kill have been interchanged. Shit. So that means that bastard plans to kill me? After the headquarters receives the data, immediately they built the subconscious world or well of man. Sakaido is falling at lightning speed onto the island. On the island there is a house. Based on comparison with the field, The police quickly discovered that there was in fact such a house. And the owner of the house is the person who just kissed Hokaru. The name is Hokaru Kazuda. In the room, there was also a torn photo. It was a photo from Kazuda's last year of middle school. There is a girl standing in the most prominent position. Hokaru thinks they're dating. And then, the two brought the photo to the house. However, the person who opened the door was a married woman. Hokaru wanted to ask if she knew anything about Kazuda, but the woman did not answer, which immediately took a packet of napkins.